Good morning, guys. It's Gail here at Work of Art Greeley, and our studio is located at 5750 West 10th Street here in Greeley, Colorado. And as you notice, this is not in the studio. I am here at my home studio. You can see some of my background here, and I'm sorry for the mess, but if I waited for a nice backdrop scene and got it all organized, you would never get this video. So, as promised, I am bringing you Spreading Cheer. And if you picked up your to-go kit at the shop, you would get your 16 by 20, right here, you notice your pre-sketched canvas that I have up, and you would get the acrylic paints of burnt umber, chrome orange, chrome yellow, cobalt blue, deep red, green oxide, Mars black, raw sienna, and titanium white. Also, a handy-dandy extra thing here is if you have a hair dryer at home, we recommend that you pull that out, and you can use that too along the way to speed up some of the drying for the layering. And then if you did pick up a set of brushes with your kit, let me show you what those would look like. Those are going to be your kit that came with, if it came with brushes, it's $35 with brushes and $25 without. And you don't need these brushes per se. They're just a set that we use here in the shop, and they kind of correspond with the classes that we teach. But you can use any brushes that you have on hand. So everything I'm saying is just a suggestion. If you want to paint this at home too without picking up a kit, then feel free. If you don't have the colors that I just randomly read off to you, you can do other colors too. So this is your painting, but this is the kit. I'm going to follow the kit that we sold to you. So you're going to use your 3/4 inch flat brush, and I will open these guys up here so you can see which ones. Sorry, I didn't have them ready. You're going to use your 3/4 inch flat brush and your number 2 round and your number 6 bright, which is this little guy, and a number 12 bright. So these are kind of the brushes that I'm going to be using today. And again, if you only have, a big brush and a round, you can do this entire painting with that. Don't worry. So, and then also we are going to use a social artworking or a marker that we put in your kit, which is going to look like, let's see here, it's going to look like this, one of these markers that we put in your kit. So you should have one of these guys. Okay, I'm going to put these back behind here. Hey. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and get started. You should have your paper plate. You guys are going to see my messy stuff here. And I also use recycled cardboard, but I'll grab some plates out here. Stand that guy back up. And lean in there perfectly. Probably won't be able to do it again. There we go. This is my reference photo. So I'm going to grab a couple paper plates. You will have one of these in your to-go kit, and grab some water, and we're going to go ahead and get started. You have your transfer. That was step 1. We already did that for you. So the next step we are going to take, and I always get my brushes wet first, so I just get them wet and wipe them off. We're going to take a little bit of our titanium white, about 10 parts. Now a part is a scoop of whatever brush you're using, so I don't have my own little container, so I'm just going to squirt out 10 parts. So I'm just going to squirt out, maybe not. Let's see here. Pour that. Try a different one. Let's see if this guy's open. Okay. So I'm going to shoot out 10 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the easiest way for me to do it. And then I'm going to add 1 part of cobalt blue. Sorry, my just went down. I don't have another easel here at home. I would get it. There we go. 1 part of the cobalt blue, which is your bright blue that you have. And just 1 squirt of that, and then a little bit, just a smidge of black. So not even a squirt, just just a smidge, and that's going to gray up our background a little bit. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to paint my entire background. With that brush, I'm just going to mix this up, and I'm going to try and keep my puddle in one spot. For those of you that know me and have taken classes with me, you know that I'm a spreader. Oh my gosh, I spread my paint out. And everybody's shade may be a little different. Hopefully you can see this. I'm going to turn on this light on my camera. Let's see if that will help. And no, that's worse. Wait. Let's see. I don't know if you can see that color. It's not very blue this time. I'm going to add a little bit more blue. Just a little bit. A little bit more blue in there so you can see it. There we go. You see I added the blue. And like I said, everybody's shade is going to be different. My example was really blue. Must have been heavy-handed on the blue when I painted that. So we got, it's pretty light blue. Let's see what it looks like up here. Well, yeah, I kind of like it. Okay, it's just harder to see on the canvas. So I'm going to go through and I am going to outline. I got my big brush here. I'm going to go through and I'm going to just make little brush strokes. No rhyme or reason. Be careful going around my bird, but I'm going to just fill in all of my background. So that is going to be the first thing I do here. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of that. I'm not worried about my strokes showing. Just going to come through here and use the edge of my brush and go. Just bring it along the edge. Right along the sketch that we have on here, and just fill all this in. Little excess. It's great to see the strokes. Don't worry about it. It makes for a lot of interest in the background. And again, this is just our background, so don't get overly concerned with trying to make it perfect. We just want to get it on here. So when you go around your little guys here, if you can't see your line underneath, you can add a little bit of water to your paint, and that will then allow you to see the lines underneath. And don't worry if you get a little overlap into your design. We'll fill it all in later, so it'll be okay. Don't worry if this isn't perfect along here. You get a little into your hat, and we'll fill that in later. So this is, we haven't done a whole lot of these live, so you are learning, you guys are learning with me as I go on how to best teach these. So we're all kind of in the same boat here with the COVID stuff, the COVID restrictions. A lot of people, are still at home, and but you wanna get out and. Or you want to get out of your rut of being at home and do something fun, these classes will be tons of fun. So you can watch them by yourself, you can watch them as a family. If I'm going too fast, you can stop this and catch up and then, move along. So that's the great part about it being a recording. And I'm also, as you notice, I got my sides too while I was doing this, because I want it to be canvas ready to hang when I'm done painting here. So I'm going to get my top also. Now that's up to you whether you want to get your sides while you're painting. I like to do it now while I have that paint ready and as I go along. So over here we have our star. Now if you cover that up and you can't see it, don't worry. I'll walk you through putting another one in, our snowflake. But I'm going to add a tiny bit of water. Just dip my brush in just a little bit of water and add it to my paint that I have here. See, you can tell I spread out. I can't keep it contained. And I'm just going to go over that. And it is still kind of hard to see, and it's smearing a little bit on my pencil, my carbon. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm just going to paint right over it, and I will pan put it in when we're all done. It'll be one of our last steps. So don't worry if you cover it up. If you really want it there before we started, you could go over it with your social artworking marker and let it dry, and then it would be there in black, and then you could go over it with your white later. So that's also an option if you want to do that. So just taking my paint right up to my hat here. Going along. I'm still using that big brush. I might switch over to a smaller brush here in a minute to get in closer around some things, but for the most part right now I'm still using my big brush. And I am loading it up with quite a bit of paint. And getting this guy in here. So my little cardinal, so cute. And again, don't worry if you paint into your hat. It will get covered up when we paint the hat. So I'm gonna add my sides here. So let's see, just get all my sides painted. There we go. All the way down. There we go. Okay, got that side pretty good. Maybe a little bit on my ornament. Cut those. Oh, missed a couple spots. Okay. Let's see. Let's get over here. Get this guy. Still using that mixture. I have tons of it that I made. So, go right along my little snowman here. Right along the brim of the hat. Still using that big brush. I'm going to fill in as much as I can with this big brush here. Turning it on its edge, just going right down in here, and on this. Okay. Still use a big brush. Again, if it's easier, just feel free to switch over. Okay, I'm going to rip some of that off. And I'm going to switch over to a little bit smaller brush. I'm going to switch over to that number 6. Well, maybe I'll switch over to, let's see, 12. Brush here. I'm going to switch over to that 12 brush. Getting it wet, wiping it off. So my bristles are nice and loose. I'm going to load it up. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to fill in this guy. I'm just gonna go around these, making little like little like M's. Just filling it around. And again, do not worry if you paint over some of this, because we're gonna add our greenery in there, and it will not matter. We just want to make sure that we don't have any white spots. So as you can see, I'm not too concerned. So we're gonna fill it in, just making little humps. These traceables that we put on here for you are just a guide, folks. Don't try to perfectly worry about them. They are just a guide. So let's see here. Go around this guy. Number 12. Put it back up again. And we do that so that you can kind of get an idea, a perspective on placement and shapes. But like I said, we are going to cover all this up. So just kind of wanted to know where I was going to put my greenery when we get to that point. Okay. And I just want to make sure I don't have any white around it. There we go. Underneath my hat here. Okay. There we go. Now you can see with my brush, I got all this texture. You can see in here. So if you want to add a little more texture, you can do that. You can rinse out that little brush that you were using. Rinse it out really good. Maybe you can hear me whoosh, 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 whoosh. You want to hear that. You want to really clean out your brushes. Brush maintenance is really important. I'm going to add a little bit of white to that mixture that I had, just a little bit, just a little. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a little bit. I have to mention I didn't rinse out my brush or anything. I just added a little white. And I'm just going to add some in here for interest. And my paint is still pretty wet, so it's allowing me to do this without pulling up the other paint in the background. Now, acrylic paint is very forgiving, but there is, now you see I had a little drop. Shoot, don't worry about that. Just wipe it off. It does not matter at all. We're going to cover that up. It's very, very forgiving, and you can paint right over it when it's completely dry, and you can paint on top of it when it's at a wet level. But there is, once it starts pulling up, you can't paint over it when it gets a little just tacky. So there's a fine line between it being wet and dry that you cannot paint over it. Hope that makes sense. If it's pulling up your paint, then it's tacky and you need to let it dry the rest of the way. But if it's still damp and movable on your canvas, you can paint right over it. And I'm just adding in some texture. You could add more blue if you wanted to at this point. You could add a little bit more gray, but I just wanted to add a little white in there for some texture. I think it just looks really cute and fun. Okay. There we go. I wonder if you can hear my dogs barking. I have a couple German Shepherds, Izzy and Gunter, and they are out in the pasture. And I'm probably getting mail or something. Probably Amazon. Okay. There we go. So we got all of our background. And I'm going to rinse out my brush really, really well. Really, really well. You should have had a paper towel that came with you with your kit. And it always helps to have maybe a few more paper towels too, and your disposable apron if you want to wear that. I rinsed out my brush and dried it off real good. And now we are going to move on to, because I spread out now, I have to use a different paper plate. We are going to move on to a little bit of white, and I'm going to say I'm going to use, well, I'm going to fill the whole thing in first with white. So I'm getting myself a good little bit of white here. And I have a very, very clean brush that I just rinsed out really good and dried off. And I'm going to come into my titanium white, and I'm just going to fill in this little snowman's face. Now be careful if your blue is still wet on the edges there. You don't want to get into that. But I'm going to fill in my whole little snowman's face with this white. Now you'll still be able to see your drawing underneath. So if you can't for some reason, just add a little bit of water to your paint. If it's not flowing really, really easy, add a little water to your paint. A little bit of water there. Make it smoother. There we go. Just filling in my whole little snowman. A little more water to him. Using my big 3/4 inch flat brush here, just going right along the edges here and just filling the whole thing in. No particular stroke, just want to be able to see my design underneath. If you can't, add a little bit of water to your design, to your paint, and that'll thin it out so you can see it. Okay. Just going right in here along the edge. Just filling this whole guy in. Go. Lifting all the paint off of those so I can still see them. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add a little bit of white up in here, right over our ornament. And if you can't see the print underneath, just go ahead and add a little water to your paint, and it will make it a little more translucent. And I'm just using my big brush, and I'm just filling it in. Just get a nice little base on there. Okay guys, let's do that. I have a cup of coffee sitting here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Still morning here. Morning. Having my coffee. So I'll get all that filled in. Alright. And if you can't see your design, you can always take paint off. I'm just scraping a little off, wiping off my brush, scraping a little off. See that? It just pops right through. Okay. Okay. There you go. If you need to see it, just using the tip as and just scrape, scrape, scrape. Scrape, scrape, scrape. There we go. Okay. Now, to that white that I have on my plate, I'm going to take a smidge, just a smidge of my raw sienna. And that is the color that looks like mustard. Just put a smidge in there. And I set it next to my white, and I'm going to scoop some of the white over, and I'm going to just dip my brush in that raw sienna and just kind of make a marbled tan color. See if you can see that. There we go, the marbled tan color. Used very, very little of my raw sienna. And I want to go in and I want to create this low light on my snowman and on my ornament. So with that color, I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to press in while my white is still wet. And I think I had some blue on it, so I'll wipe that off. And I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to add some of this raw sienna and just create a shadow on the left side of my snowman. And I'm just dragging the paint out. I'm not reloading my brush or anything like that, and I'm just adding it under the hat. Just dragging my paint out and just maybe add a little bit more down here on him, down at the bottom. Just creating a nice little shadow. Okay, got that in there. And hopefully you can see that. You can see that in there. And then I'm going to take my same mixture. I added a little more dark to it, and I'm going to put it up here on the same side of my ornament. Just going to make like a C shape, and then I'm just going to pull it out. We don't want to fill the whole thing in, and we want the darkest on the edge. Just going to pull it out so I create like a C shape, and then I pull. Okay, there we go. And once you feel like you've got a good amount of shading there, you can always go back and darken it up if you want. It's just a hint to make it a little more dimensional. There we go. Just tapping it in, spreading it across. There we go. He's so cute. Okay, when I'm done with that, I am going to rinse off my brush again. Really good. Rinse, rinse, rinse. Rinse, rinse. Real good. And dry off my brush. On my plate, I'm going to add myself some Mars Black. And I'm just going to squirt it next to the white over here. So I have just a bit. Add some Mars Black. See, I just added it to the other side of my plate. See there. There we go. And I'm going to scoop in just a tiny bit off my plate of white, just a little bit into it. And I don't want it gray, but I don't want it hard black either. I want to lighten it up just a little bit. So I just scooped in a tiny bit. So it still looks black, but we lightened it just a smidge. Okay, and once I get that in there, I'm going to come in and I'm going to fill in all of my hat with this very, very dark mixture. I'm still using that same brush, 3/4 inch flat brush. If you have any other big flat brushes, you can use that. And here's what I was saying, don't worry about if you got your blue in here, because we're just going right over the edge. My brush nice and loaded up too, so it makes a nice line. Just going right into this guy over here. I'll stop right there. And load up my brush again. Oop, got some white in there. It's alright, just cover it right up. Okay, this is live, or live right now. I'm not going to edit it, so it'll be recorded. It's being recorded, but you get to see all my happy little mistakes. There's no mistakes, as Bob would say. Happy little accidents. And you can just paint right down to those berries there. There we go. And around them. Okay. back in. Just filling in this whole hat. Okay. Just filling right along the line. Here. And again, if your paint feels like it's not running super smooth, maybe you picked up your kit a week ago and your paint's kind of got a little dry, you can always add a little bit of water. Just a little tap of water right in there, and it'll liquefy those guys right up. Just putting it down here. And use the edge of my brush to go right along the hat line here. Just stop talking to when I'm thinking. And I went right into that band, and that's okay. And then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to fill in this too. So I'm just going to fill in the brim with the same mixture that I just made. Go right along the hat line there. Go. You can see how well my paint is spreading, so if yours isn't spreading that well, make sure I just dipped my paintbrush in water and mixed it up, and it'll spread nice and thin. Alright, just gonna come along here, and I'm filling in. I don't know if you guys can hear my son in the background. He's playing a video game. He was told not to while I was videotaping, and I apologize. If he is, I can still hear him in the background. I hope you guys can't. And I am just filling in my hat here. Go right along my little snowman's face, right along his little head. Just following these lines right along here. There we go. Alright. So, how do you fill this in? Just go all the way around. All the way. There we go. There we go. So I'm going to give you a second to fill that in. Go ahead and work on that. Now, sorry for that little break there. I had to run down and tell my kid to stop talking since I was videotaping. So you should have all of your black in here. So I told you this is live and learn as we go. Getting the real deal here. All right. So I'm going to come under this little guy up here where I was going to be really careful and go under him, his belly. Okay, so we got everything in here. And I'm just going to come along this and make the line a little smoother. There we go. Okay, so we have our black in. And I add a little bit more white to my brush. And I'm just going to kind of come in here and add some little strokes of highlight right on top of my black I just painted. Just blending it in, and it's only on my right side. If you want, you can also do the top a little bit, maybe. Just paint right over. And this is just adding some highlight. And if you get too much in there, don't worry, go back in with your black and just cover it up. But I just did the top and this side. If you don't have enough, go back in with some more white. I'm just tapping the tip of my brush in. And there we go. Just want to give a little hint of some light on his hat. Okay, so I'm going to wipe off my brush with a paper towel. And before I go any further, I actually have a microfiber towel. But if you wipe your brushes off with a paper towel before you rinse them, it'll keep your water cleaner a lot longer. So I wiped my brush off really good. Now I'm going in and I'm rinsing off my brush. And get it nice and clean. And then we come in here and I'm going to add to that mixture that I have, that gray mixture, right to the side of it, I'm going to add a little pile of blue. It's probably maybe 2 or 3 scoops of blue. And it's right next to that black mixture. And I'm just taking a little bit of that black mixture and mixing in with it. And I just want to darken up, cool off that blue a little bit. So everything in this painting is pretty cool colors. And if you get it too dark, just add a little bit more blue. It's always good to, as you can see here, it's always good to start small. You always want to start with your lightest color too, and then add your other colors in. So like when you're trying to make gray, always start with white and then add your black in. Don't start with black and then try to make it gray with white, if you're, other than like what we were doing up here. But you'll have, it'll be so hard. So I'm going to take that color and I'm going to come in and I'm just going to fill in his little band with this nice, cool cobalt blue mixture. Now, you may have streaking when you're doing this. Totally fine. We can go over it a couple times. You didn't have to worry about that yet in this painting, but as we get into some of the other colors that are more translucent, like this cobalt blue, since we didn't add any white to it, it's a little translucent. That's totally fine. Don't worry about it. Just want to go right up to the black that we painted. Bring our hat band all the way across. And load up again. And come in here. Don't worry again if you get some streaking, because we will go over it a second time. So I'm just going to go around my little berries there. If you need to get a smaller brush, you can. There we go. I don't know if you can see some of my streaking in there. Totally fine. Do not worry. Load him up again here. Okay. And then just paint that in. Now this is where I told you if you have a hair dryer, it will really help speed things along. I'm going to grab my little air dryer. These are similar to the ones we have in the shop. And I'm just going to plug it in here, and it might be noisy for a second. I apologize. I don't know how to turn mute on my recording. Maybe I'll learn that as if I try to edit this. So I'm going to turn it on. I'm just going to dry that little blue area. So bear with me while we're doing that. And keep it moving. You always want to keep your dryers moving so you don't burn your paint. Let's get the coffee here. My coffee is cold, my goodness. Gonna dry this guy. I'm not worried about any of the black or any of that. Just wanna dry my little hat band here so I can go over it again. And when your paint isn't shiny anymore is when it is dry. So turn that off. I think it's pretty dry here. Okay. And go back into that same brush. I was just using that same mixture. I'm just going to go over it again. Just darken it up so I don't have those brush strokes. Now, you can for sure just let it dry on its own. It won't take very long. If you don't have a hair dryer, you can still do this. Just let it go, refill your coffee, take a break, walk out, get your mail, and then you can come back in and paint right over it. Or you can move on to a different step. If you watch this video and then you see a different step, you can move on to that and then come back and do your band again. There we go. You can see how that just made it much more opaque, filled it in. Just like so. There we go. I'm super happy with that. Okay, and I'm going to wipe off my brush And then I'm going to rinse it off real good. Rinse it off while you guys are working on that. And I am going to move into my number 2 round brush. So any round brush you have, it does not have to be a liner brush. It does not have to be a really small brush. This is a pretty good size. See if you can see here, pretty good size round brush, just with a nice point on the end of it. And I'm going to go into my burnt umber. I'm going to shake that guy up a little bit. And I'm going to put some burnt umber on my plate, just a smidge. You don't need a lot of it. And I'm going to add a touch of white to that burnt umber. So I have that burnt umber here, and I'm just going to take a scoop of white and I'm going to add it to it. And I still want it really dark, so I'm just adding a little, and it's going to give me a little bit more opaqueness. That's why I added the white. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do some shadowing. So on my little bird, I want to shadow the bottom of his tail. I'm just going to go along the bottom and maybe the edge of it here. There we go. Just the tip of it. I'm going to go along the bottom here. And I'm just kind of thinning out as I get towards the breast and up to the top. Okay. Just adding a little shadow in here. And I'm going to definitely go around my little wing here. I'm just going to outline it. I added a little bit more dark into my mixture so I could see it, so it wasn't the exact same color as what I just used. Just following those little lines. And I think I will do a little bit on his top of his head right here. There we go. Just anywhere I think I want some shadows. I'm just outlining just the edge of his top of his head. And maybe I think that's good. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the same mixture, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go around my berries. And I'm going to shadow just like I'm going to make like these C shapes, and I'm going to do it just on one side. So, and I'm just going to add a little shadow. Same on this guy right here. Be careful if you have that blue and it's not dry. Add a little more brown in there, and just go right along there. Just add some shadows. Okay, I'm going to take that same brown mixture and I'm going to go into the bottom of my carrot here. And I'm just going to outline that. There we go, all the way. Just going to blend this out. We have that white under there, don't worry. And I'm just giving a little dimension. I'm just going to blend it out. Blend it. Going to edge it out. There we go. Just along the edge. Just like that. Okay. So I got all those in. Pretty happy with that. I'm going to rinse off my brush here. While I have that brown mixture, I'm going to go over to my green and I'm going to add a little drop of green right next to, oh, my paint's all clogged up. I think I left them open. There we go. There. You should always do proper maintenance. Do as I say, not as I do. I'm really bad at starting something and then running off because somebody needs me or something and I leave stuff. So I just added my green right next to my brown mixture. And I rinsed off my brush really good. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to mix just a smidge of that brown mixture in with my green. Just a smidge. And I'm going to come over here, and these are great. This is so easy. Take your number 2 round brush, and I'm just going to push it down and slide down like a teardrop. Push it down and slide down. Push it down and slide down. push it down, and slide down. I'm going to do that all the way on both sides, and you can add more green to it. Don't worry, this is just your first layer, but you're going to create these little bristles. So push down and slide down, push down, and it's okay if your color is marbled because it's nature. Push down and pull down. We just want to fill in the white. That's why I said if we had those, if we covered it up with blue, don't worry because we're going to make these little shapes. Push down, slide down, push down, slide down. I'm coming down, right down to my berries. And I'm going to come over here, push down, slide down. So I'm pushing down and pull down. Pushing down, pull down, down, pull down, down, pull down. Just little teardrops. And I'm just staggering them so that it looks like little greeneries in here. Go. This is so easy. Push down, pull. Push down, pull. Push down, pull. Come right down to my berries. And don't worry if you have some strokes in there you don't like. I'm just filling in that center because we're going to go over it again with another layer. Push down, pull down. There we go. So we got our green in there. It's got a little bit of brown. Looks great. Push down, pull down. If you don't like something while it's still wet, you can go right over it. Push down. And again, this is just our first layer. So we just want to keep the motion going like it would. You'll notice it'll look like a little tree branch when you're done. So I'm going to rinse off. Rinse off my number 2 brush. Rinse off really, really good. And then I'm going to find a spot on my palette, one of my palettes that I have going, and I'll use this one because I have a hole over here. I'm going to take my deep red and I'm going to add a little bit of my clean number 2 brush, and I'm going to come in here, and this should be dry by now, so I'm going to go right over it, right over my brown and my white, and I'm just going to fill in with my deep red. Okay. And you will see, I'm going to add a tiny bit of water to that, just a tiny bit. You will see that shadow effect create under there. Just a tiny bit of water so it flows a little bit easier. Cool. And it's such a neat way to make a shadow. Just come back in here. I'm going to go right, just fill it all in. I'm going right over that brown. Just following my lines. And number 2 round. Just filling in. A little bit more water to my brush. I'm just using the paint that's on the edge right here. I'm not dipping in and super loading it or anything like that. It's like almost like translucent. Well, it is translucent because you can see the brown underneath. And don't worry about going over your nobody's eye. It's totally fine. Add a little water there. Come back in. Front. One here. Okay. And if he's too translucent, it's totally okay. We can go back in and put another coat over him as soon as he dries. So just fill him in there in your brush here. It's so cute. My background should be dry, so I can put my hand here. Yep. He's a little see-through, but that's okay. I'm going to go back in and put another coat over him. Okay, I'm going to go over here to my berries. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to fill these guys in. My red. Again, don't worry if they're really translucent. You can go back in and fill in a second time after you get them done. Go. One. I'm going right over that brown. Right over 2. And one more here. Yep. Voila. Okay, super cute, this guy. it's just coming along. Now we want to do our little smileys. So we are going to take that same red, and if you have white somewhere on your plate, I happen to have some white that I hadn't used yet on this guy right here. So I'm going to take just a smidge, just a scoop of white and add it to my red and make a really pretty pink here. This is going to be for his cheeks. Well, we have the red on our brush, and it can be whatever shade pink you like. This is, here we go, it's kind of a Pepto-Bismol pink or a candy cane pink. Got it all nice and mixed, and I'm just going to fill in my little cheeks here. And you'll know if it's too pink, like too reddish, or if it's not pink enough. It's completely your painting, so add more white or more red. I'm using my number 2 brush. I'm just filling in those little circles right over that white and raw sienna mixture, because it is dry by now. Just right around it, pulling in. So cute. Oh my gosh, so cute. Okay, got it filled in. And I'm pushing my brush down, pushing my brush completely down to get that nice little edge. Okay, so one filled in, and we're going to do the same thing on this side. And you can use whichever brush. I'm just using my number 2 brush. That's what I had in my hand. You can use whatever brush you like to do with this. If it's easier for you to use a big brush and make a circle, go ahead and do that. Just following those guides that we have on there from the sketch. Little pink cheeks. I say pink nose, but it's pink cheeks. Go. So cute. Oh my gosh, so cute. He's just coming along. Okay. And because it has white in it, it should be already pretty opaque. You shouldn't have to add another layer to that or anything like that. Oh, here my clock. It must be, well, I don't even know what time it is. It is 11 o'clock. 11 bells. That's my clock in the background. Okay, I'm rinsing out my brush really good. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to take my orange. I'm going to shake it up a little bit. And I just need a smidge of this. I'm going to find a spot on my canvas that is clean. Got a little spot right there. Just dropped a smidge of it, just about one scoop. And I'm going to come in here. Actually, while I'm doing that, while I have paint open, I'm going to grab a little yellow too. I'm going to put it right next to it. So I have a little dollop of yellow and a dollop of orange. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start with my yellow. I'm going to fill in my little beak up here. Just come up here and fill this little beak in. Make sure you don't have a ton on your brush. I'm using my same little 2-inch round brush. If you have a smaller brush at home, feel free to use that. Probably a pointy brush would be the easiest to use, any kind of round brush. Fill in his little beak. So cute. Gosh. Okay, I'm going to take that same yellow. I'm going to come up to the top of my carrot, just for a little highlight, and I'm going to fill in the top of my carrot with some yellow. And it's whiter at the back, going right over that brown. Whiter at the back and kind of get narrower, I can't say that, narrower towards the tip. Okay. And while my paint is still wet, I'm going to add the orange in there. So I'm just going right into my orange. I wiped off my brush, but I didn't rinse it. Go right into my orange. I'm going to add it right in there. Again, we're working wet on wet. So I'm just going right over that brown, right over my shadow. And I'm going to blend it right up into that yellow. And there we go. Just going to blend it right in. Take your time with this, keep the little ridges on the carrot. Get to a nice little point. Again, that sketch under there is just for reference, so you don't have to follow the line exactly. And I'm just blending right up into my yellow. Okay. So cute. I'm going to wipe that off. Wipe. And I believe my little yellow up here is pretty dry, so I'm going to give him one more coat. And come up here and coat to his little beak. Just dipping it in that chrome yellow. I think it's chrome yellow we're using. Nope. Yes, chrome yellow. Chrome yellow that we're using. And just fill it in one more time. Go. If you want to add more yellow down here and blend back the other way, you can do that. If you want it to be brighter on top, you can add a little yellow while it's still wet here and just blend in. There you go. Wipe off my brush and I'll add a little more orange. Just going to add one more layer of orange in here, just darken it up. And I'm just blending back and forth till I feel like I have like almost an ombre effect. Shoot, if you wanted to, you could even go back in with your brown. If you feel like you need to darken up the bottom, or you have a little area. Here, I'll just dip. I didn't even wash my brush. I just dipped right in to the brown, and I'm just going to, where my yellow overlapped, I'm just going to kind of just, or my orange overlapped, I'm just going to go around it. There we go. And clean up that little line. There we go. Just like that. And just bring it out. You know, just play with it. Have fun with this. Breathe. Remember to breathe. This is just fun, guys. Okay. Now, rinse that off real good. Dry it off on my paper towel. I'm going to go back into my red. My red that I have that doesn't have any other color in it, just the solid red. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to add another little layer just to even this guy out. Even out his red. Make him nice and vibrant. Nice, pretty, vibrant. Oh, here are my doggies. They're squealing out there. They're frenemies. It's Gunter and Izzy, and Gunter can be a bully. And Izzy's a screamer. She'll scream when he comes after her, but they love each other. They had puppies last year. This time we had 10 little German Shepherd puppies running around our sunroom. It was insane. I had never had puppies before, and oh my gosh, we probably will never have, well, we won't with her anyways and him because we got them fixed, but oh my gosh, so much work. Utmost respect to people that breed in good conditions and, you know, animals, because it's so much work. Oh my gosh, so much work. Okay, and got him colored in there. Okay, if you for some reason lost any of your brown, again, you can go back in. I didn't even rinse my brush. You can go in, you can define anything you want to. If you want to define those wings, if you want to add a little more brown, shadowing. These are just the little details that are going to make it yours. There we go. Okay. Just add a little touch of brown in there, just to break it up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go back over to my red over here. And I'm just filling in these little berries one more time. Sticking them up here. And nice, vibrant holly berries. Keep in mind your strokes. Kind of keep making those C strokes so that it follows the line of your berries. And put in one more. There we go. Got them all in there. I love the texture of the paint, so if the texture is following the lines of the design, it looks great. There we go. Okay, rinse that guy off. We are just knocking through this guy. Remember we had this green, and I told you we were going to do another layer of it. So I still have that green mixture, and I still have that same number 2 brush. I'm going to come in here, and I just dipped straight into my green, just my straight green. And now if you wanted to, you could add green and yellow, you could add, you know, any colors. I like just the straight green here, and I'm just doing the straight green, and I'm going right back over those dry leaves. And I'm just adding another layer, just like we did before, push down and pull, push down and pull. I'm just making this more opaque, giving it another layer for texture. And the more layers with acrylic, the better your painting will look. Sorry, my nose is running. It's not COVID, I swear. We have a fireplace, a real wood fireplace here, and we burn wood all the time, and it makes my nose run. So I'm just going to go back to this guy, and I'm just making those same little motions. Again, if you want to add a little yellow to your green for a different variation, you could do that. Whatever you like. So here we go. Got it all in here. There we go. So cute. Oh my gosh, and you can see how much more opaque it became by doing that. Okay, now we have, gosh, not much left. Let's do our little face here. How about that? We can go back into our black that we used, if you have that. If it's dried up, you can just take some black and just straight black. You don't have to put any white in it this time. And I'm going to use a little flat brush for this one. So I'm going to take my smallest flat brush that we gave you. Looks like this, just a little small flat brush, and I'm going to use that one. I'm going to dip it right in. My bristles were already loose. If it's dry, if the brush is dry, dip it in water, dry it off. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make these little lumps of coal. I'm just making little circles with my little flat brush. And if it's easier to do your round brush, use that. And I don't have to have them perfect because they're lumps of coal. So you can push down and twist if you want. Make sure your brush is really loaded. If you want to use your little round brush, you can do that. But they don't have to be perfect because they are lumps of coal. So just get that little impression of a circle. Just dipping it in, and I'm just twisting my brush. Twist and twist and twist. Twist. So cute. Oh my gosh, so cute. This is such a cute painting. Okay, got our little lumps of coal down there. Now with this same brush, I'm going to load it up. And I don't want it gobby. I want it just nice and smoothly loaded. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to paint my eyes. I'm just going to go across one. And it's okay if it ran out of paint. We'll just reload and go back the other way. So I'm going to go back in, load it up, and do one more. And just upside down U. Okay, now I ran out of paint when I got to each end, and that's totally fine. I'm going to load my paintbrush up, and I'm going to start at that end, and I'm going to go back the other way. Yep, and it will just fill that in. Okay, so we have our little eyes. Oh my gosh, isn't he cute, guys? So cute. Okay, so we're just almost done. Let's, oh, you know what we didn't add? We didn't add our top of our little ornament up here. We want to go back into that little bit of brown. Made me think of it when I saw that little brown there. And let's go in with our little number 2 round brush and just fill in a little rectangle here at the top. Just a little rectangle. There we go. Just the top of our ornament. Just like that. And if you have some white that you didn't get it all the way around, you can make your ornament, the top of your ornament a little wider. And it'll fill that in, that space in. There we go. Just fill it in just like that. Okay, got that filled in. I'm going to rinse out my brush. And let's see here. We are about ready for some snow, guys. Oh my gosh. Okay, so if you have some clean white, you can use that. If you don't have any clean white, pour yourself some clean white. We don't want anything else in it. We want to make sure everything is dry where we're going to put our snow. And we're going to come in here and let's go ahead and do our snowflake first. Now if you can still see your snowflake, that's great. If you can't, this is very easy to do. I'm going right into my clean white. If it's not really liquidy, add some water. We do want it really liquidy to do this, like cross paint, so that it makes a nice line. And I'm using my number 2 round, and I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to make a straight line down. And let's see if I can really see mine. So I'm just going to wing it here. So I'm going to do another one, straight line down, and then I'm going to do one crossed, just like that. Okay, just like that. Make sure it's nice and liquidy. Okay. Now I'm going to go on my ends and I'm going to make a little V, 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 V. Helps if you say it too. Alright, and then right under it I'm going to make another V, V, and D, and D, and D, and D, and one more. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to make little triangles right here. So we're going to make sure, oh, I got red in my paint. Make sure you stick with just clean white. I'd rinse out my brush there. Always after you rinse out your brush, make sure you wipe it off. Otherwise you may get a water drop, and those are no fun. I'm going to make little like teepees. Teepee, like the top of a triangle. And a teepee, and a teepee. Right in the center. Right in the center is the top of my teepee, and then it comes down. Teepee, and teepee. So just like the top of a triangle. Boop, boop, just like that. There we go. Alright, so we have our little snowflake in there. If you want to add anything else to your snowflake, you can. If you feel like you need to add another row, shoot, you can go in, let's add another row. 1, 2, I mean, like I said, I'm just giving you a guide. Boop, boop, I'm adding one more. This is because I can. And there we go. Just add one more little row in there. Super cute. There you go. You can do whatever you want. Okay. Now we're going to take that same white and we're going to scoop it up on our brush. See how I have it scooped up? See if you can see here. It's a scoop on my brush. See, it's even dripping down. Scoop of clean white. Now I'm just going to press, kind of press and get it on the top rim of my hat. I reload and I'm just going to press and I'm kind of wiggling. Wiggle, 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 and I want it to look like snow. So I'm not doing it in a perfect line. I'm just kind of going up and down, up and down. Some areas have more, some areas have less. All the way up to my little cardinal here. And then I'm just going to push in some right by him. And I'm just going to take my brush and just ever so slightly just bring it under him. Just ever so slightly. There we go. Okay, we've got some snow on that. And make sure you're using clean white. I'm going to add a little more white here. I'm running out. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to go on the top of the brim of my hat. I'm going to push again, push, just scooping up and pushing, push, scoop, 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 and push. I don't want it to look exactly the same everywhere, so I'm just going up and down, push. Some areas are thinner. There we go, push. You can kind of drag it along, and then push. This is all dry, so it's not gonna blend, not gonna blur together. Push, and then just drag it along. There we go, push, and you can drag it to the end. There we go. So I got the snow on the top of my hat, and I think while I have the white on my brush, I'm going to do a little dry brushing. So I'm going to wipe off my brush completely. I'm going to load up just a smidge on the end. I wiped it off. It's a dry brush. I added just a little. I just went in here and just added a little white. I don't want a lot. I can wipe some of it off even. And I'm going to add some highlights. Just going to add a little dry brush on the top of my tail, maybe on the top of my crown of the bird, maybe on the top of the wing, and around the wings maybe. There we go. Whole dry brushing. Come over here. That's probably still wet, so I'll leave that alone. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do some little dry brushing on the tops of my smiley faces. Oh, you know what? We need to do our little berries too. So let's scoop up some more snow and push in. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Push. Now make sure your little leaves are dry. Push. You want them to be dry before you'll have like the green and white. You'll have like a mint snow. And just push. There we go. Push. Okay. And I'm going to wipe off my brush and I'm going to just put some little highlights on these little berries. There we go. Okay. And let's see if that looks pretty dry now. So I'm going to, with that same brush, I'm just going to go in here and just add a few little lines on the diagonal. Just not every single one, just adding some highlights. There we go. Okay. Now, oh my gosh, we are so close to being done. I hope you guys are having fun. We are going to take the back of our brush, the one you're using, we're going to dip straight in that white, and we're going to come up here and we're going to make straight in some dots. Dip and dot. And we're going to dip and dot. And we'll dip and dot. And we're going to make snowflakes. Alright, if you dip and dot a couple times. They'll be smaller as you go, so keep that in mind. Dip, dip, dot. Alright, and we're going to go through here and just add in our snow. You don't want to forget to add it in on your hat. You don't want them in any line, anything like that, so keep that in mind. It's just random snow. I add some over here. You want to make sure you get some on your little birds too. And maybe some, let's see, over here, some on your hat. If you don't like one, just go back in and redip it. Let's see, a few over here. Go. Don't overdo it, but definitely, you know, it's a snowy day. And some here. Right back over that one. Go. And I'm just dipping back of my brush straight in and dabbing. Go. And I put some on his little nose. Little dots there. Came through. Oh my gosh. So cute. How cute is this guy? So we just have a few things left to do on him. Once you get all your snowflakes in that you want, one over here, we have just a couple things left. I'll just set those plates aside. And I'm going to wipe off the back of my brush. Any of your other brushes at this time, you can come in and rinse them off really, really well. And good brush maintenance is a must. Rinse them off really, really well. Dry them off. Storing your brushes flat is always a good idea. We always have ours standing upright, but that's just for convenience. If you store them flat, it's usually a better idea. So the moisture doesn't roll back into the ferrule. Okay, so we have him done almost. What is left is you have that social artworking marker that we gave you, which is a paint pen. And we're going to shake it up. Shake, 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 shake. You'll hear the little beads in there. Shake, 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 shake. Shake it up really well. And then find something hard to work on. Let me grab a little piece of cardboard here. We'll take something really hard. If you have a paper plate, it'll work. If you have a foam plate, it won't. You're going to push it straight down, and that's going to release the oil paint. Okay, and then practice with it a couple times so you get a good feel. Then you're going to come up here, and we're going to put in our little eye. There we go, just a little round circle. And I'm going to outline his little beak. Go. And I'm going to outline the little center of his beak. And now I'm going to take that little thread that he has in his mouth and I'm going to follow that around. And never ever push down on your pen, on your canvas. You'll have a big blob of black paint. And I'm just going to follow it around. Go. Get my little thread in there. There we go. Just like that. And I'm going to outline the top of my ornament. And now I'm going to go in and I'm going to do these little lines. And I'm going to follow them around, just little loops. Loops. There we go. And I'm going to follow the letters around. There we go. So it's cheer. Okay. And the R. Again, always push down on something else, not your canvas. Okay. And do the bottom ones. If it's easier, you can lay your canvas down too to do this. You do not have to do it while it's standing up. And we got that in there. And let's see, I think we are pretty good. I think that covers just about everything. Your little guy is done. So I hope this painting spreaded some cheer to you, and thank you for painting with me, and we will see you next time. So don't forget to paint, play, and create. Thanks, guys.